Hey guys, it's Omer from MMOs.com. Another quick weekly news recap of all major MMO news and announcements at the week ending September 3rd, 2018. This is episode number 163 of the recap, and the first bit of news this week comes from Bandai Namco regarding Bless Unleashed. So we talked about Bless Unleashed, I think, a week or two ago, and it's a free-to-play Unreal Engine 4-powered Bless game for Xbox One. This week, NeoWiz and Bandai Namco released a trailer showing off the game. Nowhere on the release date yet, but players can sign up for the beta on the official website. This is the first time we're seeing an actual trailer for Bless Unleashed. And not surprisingly, since the video went up, it was bombarded with dislikes, as players are rightfully pissed off at NeoWiz for selling them a buggy, awful game on Steam, and then turning around and making a free-to-play version with a new engine for consoles. People are outright calling NeoWiz scammers at this point, and to be honest, they totally are. Comments for the video are pretty much across the board negative for the time being, and again, it's not too surprising considering how awful the PC launch of Bless was. Next up, Path of Exile's latest expansion, Delve, officially launched this last week, and Grinding Gear Games did it again. They launched an awesome expansion. Delve introduced the game's first infinite dungeon called the Azurite Mine, which features infinite replayability, as well as 18 new unique items, 7 new divination cards, and several new and revamped skills. Player-base wise, Path of Exile's numbers have jumped on Steam. Before Delve, the game peaked at about 11,000 peak users, and is now hitting over 75,000. The thing about Path of Exile is it's a game where you can play a ton, take a break, and just come back for every new expansion. So every time an expansion launches, the game's popularity explodes. If you never played this one, give it a try. It's one of the best free-to-play games out there, especially if you like ARPGs like Diablo. Up next, Final Fantasy XIV celebrates their 5th year anniversary and announced that they reached 14 million registered users since launch, with 4 million of those 14 million users joining the game in the last year alone. While these figures don't really mean too much about the active player base or anything like that, Square Enix did say that Final Fantasy XIV had the most subscribers ever at the beginning of the year. Those numbers are probably down now, but should jump back up when the game's next expansion launches. In other Final Fantasy XIV news, they recently launched their mini-site, which outlines everything coming to the game's next update called 4.4, Prelude in Violet, which is set to launch on September 18th. So we did get a release date for that as well. September 18th is when 4.4 launches. Next up, Jade Dynasty Mobile officially launched this week. While the PC version of Jade Dynasty shut down in June, the game lives on through a mobile version. It's worth mentioning, though, that the mobile version is quite different from the PC one. Expect autoplay and auto-questing features. Still, don't be surprised to see a mobile version of basically every single PC MMORPG out there. We've already seen so many random old PC MMORPGs launch as mobile versions, and we'll see more in the near future. Up next, Kritika launched its latest update this week, and it introduced the new Prodigy class, which is basically a lolly with giant guns, so what's not to like? Sounds awesome. In addition to the new class, the update also adds a new ultimate zone called the Eternal Library, which features new enemies to defeat and items to loot. Player-base wise, Kritika Online is only averaging about 250 or so users on Steam, but does have some users off Steam as well. And Kritika is one of those instance dungeon persistent hub games similar to Closers and DFO. Speaking of Instance Dungeon Persistent Hub games, Soulworker is launching a big update on September 6th, which will be introducing a new class advancement, an increased level cap from 55 to 60, 8 new dungeons, a new hub city named Grasscover Camp, along with new NPCs, quests, items, and more. This is a big update for Soulworker, and given the game's popularity, they're definitely doing something right. The game currently averages about 1,500 or so players on Steam at any given time, making it the most popular of the Instance Dungeon Persistent Hub games to launch on Steam recently. I think one reason the game is really popular is it's actually somewhat difficult. Right from the get-go, you can't just close your eyes and mash the keys. You can actually die, which is maybe one of the reasons why it's doing so well. They also have a really cute guitar-wielding lolly, another reason why the game's probably doing well. Next up, Runes of Magic officially launched on Steam this week after a few delays. This one isn't exactly new, as it launched back in 2009 and it was one of the earlier free-to-play MMORPG success stories. The game's two most notable features were its unusually similar graphics to World of Warcraft and its unique multi-classic system, which was actually really cool. The game's Steam launch seems to be a success so far, as it's averaging 275 users online at any given time, with peak players hitting a bit over 500, which ain't bad for a 9-year-old game. Plus, it exists off Steam as well, so this isn't the game's entire player base. I played this one back in the day, so I plan to give it another try for fun, so expect the first look for it soon. Next, some pretty funny drama involving Star Citizen. So the guys behind Star Citizen announced that this year's CitizenCon, the game's annual convention, will be available on stream for $20, whereas it was free every other year. A $20 fee to stream a convention isn't exactly ridiculous because BlizzCon charges for their digital ticket, but Star Citizen is a crowdfunded game that isn't even out yet. Plus, they raised over $190 million in crowdfunding over the years, so charging $20 for digital access to this convention just for this one game was met with outrage. Not surprisingly, Chris Roberts backed down and announced 2 days later the entire event will be streamable for free. I do find it a bit ridiculous that they even had the nerve to ask for $20 to watch a Star Citizen stream after raising $190 million from their loyal fans. It just feels like a big slap in the face for everyone that supported the game up until now, but at least they backpedaled. Next up, we need to start writing a eulogy for H1Z1's Just Survive game mode, as Daybreak announced this week that it'll be shutting the game down on October 24th. This will be affecting the more popular Battle Royale H1Z1 game, which remains available on the PC and consoles. Daybreak Games cites the game's dwindling population as the primary reason for the closure. The survival game genre's hype has died down over the years, and with that, Just Survive is dying with it. Games like Rust and Ark Survival Evolved do continue to thrive, though. Next, some industry news regarding Square Enix and Tencent. Square Enix announced that they signed a strategic partnership with Tencent to jointly develop video games together, both as existing IPs and new ones. Based on other Tencent partnerships, I'm pretty sure the only thing that's going to happen with this one is that Tencent is going to develop Final Fantasy games exclusively for the Chinese market. They've done this before with other partnerships, so just expect new mobile games for the Chinese market. I doubt we're going to get these games outside of China as well. So I don't think anyone should be worried about a Chinese company working with Square Enix, because nothing's going to change. Basically, they're just going to make some games together for the Chinese market. And except more industry news, the Asian Games 2018, which is a multi-sports event held every 4 years, kind of like the Olympics, featured eSports for the first time. Medals earned during eSports, though, it won't count towards official medal tallies, as the eSports event is billed as a demonstration event for now. The game's features in the Asian Games are Arena of Valor, Clash Royale, League of Legends, StarCraft 2, and Hearthstone, and Pro Evolution Soccer. Despite not counting towards a medal tally, it's pretty cool to see eSports and traditional sports taking place in the same event. Given that this happened, I don't think it'll be impossible for eSports to happen in the Olympics one day as well. I'm right along one more piece of industry news. The Chinese government proposed stricter regulations and approval for games. While this doesn't really affect us here in the West, it's worth mentioning that a lot of game companies we love does a lot of business in China, so it's going to be affecting them. So apparently the Chinese government halted all approvals for new games, so no new games have been launched in China in the last few weeks. And this might also ultimately lead to more strict regulations and ability for people to play games. This is also why Fortnite still isn't launched in China, and it's really weird to think about, but in the US, game companies don't need government regulations or approval to launch games, whereas they do in China. And given that China is the world's biggest market for video games, this news affects basically every video game company. I remember reading how much Nexon stock went down after this news came out, because Nexon does a lot of business in China with Dungeon Fighter Online. I'm sure it's going to affect other video game companies as well. Next and last news this week comes from Pokemon Go, and surprise, surprise, Pokemon Go is still minting money. According to mobile analytics firm Sensor Tower, Pokemon Go is earning over $2.5 million per day on average, which is up 39% over the last 2 months thanks to the game's recent trading update. The crazy hype behind this game has slowed down, but it never actually died down, as it continues to sit on the top 10 highest grossing mobile games list on iOS. Anyway guys, that's it for MMO News this week. I'll see you guys tomorrow for the podcast. Later guys.